The lights in the Galactic Council chamber were too bright. Ambassador Kyung-ho blinked as he walked into the huge room. The ceiling was so high he could not see the top. Around him sat hundreds of alien beings from across the galaxy. Some had many eyes. Others had no eyes at all. Some breathed air like humans. Others breathed poison gas that would kill a human in seconds. Kyung-ho was the only human in the room. He was also the youngest ambassador ever sent to speak for Earth. At 32 years old, he had already stopped 3 wars and helped make peace between enemies. The other ambassadors did not like this. They thought humans were getting too strong, too important. Ambassador Kyung-ho of Earth, said the council leader. The leader was a giant slug-like creature with purple skin. Its voice was like rocks grinding together. You have been given a new mission. Kyung-ho stood up straight. He wore his best blue suit and carried a small bag with his personal things. I am ready to serve, he said. The council leader's many eyes looked at him with cold hate. You will go to Research Station Omega-7. It is on the edge of our space. You will study the plants there. You will be alone. Kyung-ho felt something was wrong. Research Station Omega-7 was known to be dangerous. Ships often disappeared near that area of space. Pirates and killers hid in the dark between stars. Will I have protection? He asked. You will have what you need, the leader said. But its voice told Kyung-ho he would have nothing. The other ambassadors in the room were silent. Some looked sad. Others looked happy. Kyung-ho understood then. This was not a mission. This was a death sentence. They wanted him gone. I accept, Kyung-ho said. He would not show fear. His grandfather had been a soldier. His father had been a diplomat. He would not shame his family name. The council leader smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Good. You leave in 2 hours. Far across the galaxy, on the death world of Cathara, something terrible was waking up. The planet was covered in sharp black rocks and pools of acid. The air was full of poison. Nothing good lived there. Only killers and monsters could survive. In a cave deep under the ground, red eyes opened in the dark. The creature was huge, 9 feet tall, and covered in natural armor that looked like black metal. It had 4 arms, each ending in claws that could cut through steel. Its face was like a wolf mixed with a dragon. When it breathed, steam came from its nose. The creature was called the Reaper by those who knew its name. Most people who met the Reaper did not live to tell others about it. It was the best killer in the galaxy. It had never failed to kill a target. Never. A small light blinked on the wall of the cave. Someone was calling. The Reaper moved to the light and touched it with one claw. A voice spoke in the dark. Reaper, we have work for you. The Reaper said nothing. It did not need to speak. Everyone knew what it did. The target is a human. A diplomat named Kyung-ho. He's becoming too important. Too many people listen to him. He must die. The Reaper's red eyes glowed brighter. Humans were new to the galaxy. They'd only been traveling in space for a few hundred years. Most aliens thought humans were weak and soft. The Reaper had killed humans before. They were easy prey. The payment is 1 million credits, the voice said, plus a new ship. The fastest ship we have? The Reaper made a sound like rocks falling. This was its way of saying yes. 1 million credits was enough money to buy a small planet. The Reaper did not need money, but it'd like to collect payment. It proved how good it was at its job. The human will be at Research Station Omega-7. He will be alone. Kill him quickly. Make it look like an accident. The Reaper stood up. Its head almost touched the ceiling of the cave. It walked to a wall and pressed a hidden button. The wall opened to show a room full of weapons. Plasma guns. Laser swords. Poison darts. Bombs. The Reaper looked at them all, then closed the wall. It would not need weapons for this job. Its claws and teeth were enough to kill any human. The Reaper walked outside. Its ship was waiting. The ship was black and shaped like a knife. It had no name and no marks. Perfect for a killer who did not want to be seen. As the ship lifted off from the planet, the Reaper thought about the hunt. It had killed over 300 beings in its life. Soldiers, pirates, crime bosses, even other killers like itself. But this would be different. This would be easy. Humans were soft. They did not have claws or sharp teeth. They could not see in the dark. They were weak. The Reaper looked at the star map. Research Station Omega-7 was 4 days away. It would arrive, kill the human, and return home. Simple, easy, just another job. But as the ship jumped into hyperspace, the Reaper did not know that this job would change everything. It did not know that the human named Kyun-ho was not like other humans. It did not know that some prey could become predators. And it did not know that the greatest hunters sometimes chose not to kill. Back on Earth, Dr. Sunya was packing her bags. She had just received orders to go to Research Station Omega-7. She was a plant scientist, one of the best in the galaxy. She was also Kyung-ho's oldest friend. Sunya was worried. Orders came too fast, too sudden. She tried to call Kyung-ho, but his phone was turned off. She tried to call the council, but they said she could not speak to him until they both reached the station. Something is wrong, she said to herself. She threw her clothes into a bag and ran to her ship. If Kyung-ho was in danger, she would help him. That was what friends did. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were not as weak as they seemed, and the Reaper was about to meet prey that would change its life forever. Research Station Omega-7 floated in the darkness between stars. It was a small white building with metal walls and bright windows. Inside, lights glowed warm and safe. But outside, space was cold and full of danger. Kyung-ho had been at the station for 3 days. He spent his time in the plant lab, studying strange flowers and trees from different worlds. The work made him happy. He loved learning about new life forms. Each plant was like a puzzle he wanted to solve. The station felt lonely. It was built for 20 people, but only Kyung-ho was there. His footsteps echoed in the empty halls. Sometimes he talked to himself just to hear a human voice. "These blue flowers are amazing," he said to the empty lab. He held up a plant with petals that glowed like stars. "They eat radiation instead of sunlight. If we could grow these on Earth, we could clean up the old nuclear waste sites." But Kyung-ho was not completely alone. In the back rooms of the station, he had found something that made his heart hurt. Injured animals, dozens of them, small creatures with broken wings, larger beasts with cuts and burns. They had been hurt in the recent solar storms that swept through this part of space. Someone had left them here to die. Kyung-ho could not let that happen. He set up a medical area in the storage room. He used his own food to feed the animals. He used his own water to clean their wounds, worked day and night to help them heal. "There you go, little friend," he said softly to a small creature that looked like a purple cat with 6 legs. "That cut is looking better." The creature purred and rubbed against his hand. Kyung-ho did not know that death was coming for him. He did not know that the Reaper's ship was already close to the station. The Reaper's ship moved. Through space like a black shadow, it made no sound. It gave off no light. The ship's computers scanned the research station. 2 life forms detected. 1 human. 1 other species. The Reaper looked at the scan results. The human was in the main lab. The other creature was moving around the station, probably a security guard or helper. The Reaper would kill them both. The ship attached itself to the station's docking bay. The Reaper checked its claws. They were sharp and ready. It checked its armor. Every plate was in place. This would be quick and clean. The Reaper moved through the station's halls like a ghost. Its feet made no sound on the metal floor. Its red eyes glowed in the darkness. It could see perfectly in the dark. It could hear the human's heartbeat 3 rooms away. The smell of the human was strange. Most prey smelled like fear when the Reaper was near. But this human smelled like medicine and something else. Something the Reaper had never smelled before. The Reaper followed the scent to the main lab. Through the window, it could see the human working at a table. The human was tall and thin, with black hair. He wore a simple white shirt and dark pants. He looked weak, easy to kill. The Reaper prepared to strike. It would break through the window, grab the human, snap his neck. Fast, simple, clean. But then the Reaper saw something that made it stop. The human was not alone at the table. Small creatures sat around him. They were not afraid. They were happy. The human was feeding them by hand. He spoke to them in a soft voice. He was gentle with them. One small creature, no bigger than the Reaper's claw, had a broken wing. The human carefully wrapped the wing in clean cloth. The creature did not try to run away, trusted the human. The Reaper had never seen anything like this. In its world, the strong killed the weak. The healthy left the sick to die. Only the best survived. But this human was helping creatures that could not help him back. Why? The Reaper watched as the human picked up a larger animal. It was badly hurt. Blood covered its fur. The human could have let it die. Instead, he cleaned its wounds and gave it water to drink. "You're going to be okay," the human said to the animal. "I won't let you die alone." The Reaper felt something strange in its chest. It had never felt this before. It did not understand what was happening. The human worked for hours. He did not eat. He did not rest. He only cared for the hurt animals. When one animal was too sick to eat, the human fed it with a small tube. When another was cold, the human wrapped it in his own jacket. The Reaper found itself moving closer to the window. It wanted to see more. It wanted to understand. Inside the lab, Kyun-ho felt eyes watching him. He looked up from the small creature he was helping. The lights outside the window were off. He could not see anything in the darkness. "Hello?" he called out. "Is someone there?" The Reaper froze. The human was looking right at the window. Could he see in the dark? "I know you're there," Kyun-jo said. His voice was not scared. It was curious. "Are you hurt? Do you need help?" The Reaper's red eyes grew wide. The human was asking if it needed help. The human could not see clearly in the dark, but he was still offering to help, even a stranger, even something that might be dangerous. Kyung-ho stood up and walked to the window, put his hand on the glass. "I'm not afraid," he said. "If you're hurt, I can help you. I have medical supplies." The Reaper looked at the human's hand on the glass. It was small and soft. No claws, no sharp teeth, no armor, just pink skin and small bones. This creature could not fight. It could not run fast, could not see in the dark, but it was not afraid. The Reaper had killed hundreds of beings. All of them had been afraid at the end. They begged, they cried, they offered money or information. But this human was different. This human offered help. The Reaper took a step back from the window, then another, and another. For the first time in its life, the Reaper walked away from prey. Kyung-ho waited by the window for several minutes. Finally, he went back to his work. "Maybe it was just my imagination," he said to the small purple creature, "but I felt like someone was watching us." The creature purred and curled up in his lap. Kyung-ho smiled and continued his work. He had no idea that the galaxy's most dangerous killer was now hiding in the station's shadows, watching him, trying to understand what it meant to be human. The hunt had begun, but something had changed. The Reaper was no longer sure who was the hunter and who was the prey. The Reaper did not sleep for 2 days, hid in the dark corners of the station, watching the human. This was new for the Reaper. It had never studied prey before. It had always killed quickly and left. But now it needed to understand. The human's name was Kyun-cho. The Reaper learned this by listening to him talk to the animals. The human talked to them like they were friends. He told them about his work. He told them about Earth. He told them about his family. "My grandmother used to have a garden," Kyung-ho said to a small blue bird with a broken wing. "She taught me that all life is precious. Even the smallest flower has a purpose." The Reaper did not understand. On its home world, the weak died. The strong lived. This was the natural way. But the human spent his time helping creatures that could not help him. It made no sense. Every morning, Kyung-ho woke up before the station's lights turned on. He would check on each animal. He would give them food and water. He would clean their wounds. He would speak to them softly. The Reaper watched from the shadows. It saw the human give his own breakfast to a hungry animal, saw him stay awake all night when a creature was sick. It saw him cry when one of the animals died despite his care. "I'm sorry, little friend," Kyung-ho said, holding the dead creature. "I tried my best. I hope you're not in pain anymore." The Reaper had never seen a predator cry for prey. In its world, death was normal, expected, but this human was sad when something died, even something small and weak. On the third day, the Reaper saw something that changed everything. The station's alarms began screaming. Red lights flashed in every room. The computer voice spoke loudly. Warning, solar flare detected. Radiation levels rising. Evacuate immediately. The Reaper knew what this meant. A massive solar storm was coming. The radiation would kill everything on the station in hours. Any smart creature would run to a ship and escape. The Reaper moved to the docking bay, would watch the human run away like a coward. Then it would follow and kill him in space. But the human did not run. Kunho stood in the middle of the lab as alarms screamed around him. He looked at all the injured animals. Many could not move. Some were too sick to travel. If he left them, they would die. I can't leave you, he said to them. I won't leave you. The Reaper watched in shock as the human ran to the computer terminal. His fingers moved fast over the buttons. He was trying to fix the station's shields, the shields that would protect them from the radiation. The work was dangerous. Electricity sparked from broken wires. The radiation was already making the air shimmer with heat. But the human did not stop working. For 6 hours, Kyung-ho worked to repair the shields. His face was red from the heat. His hands were burned from the electricity. Sweat poured down his face. But he did not give up. The Reaper found itself moving closer. It wanted to help. It's confused it. Why did it want to help Prey? Care if the human lived or died? Finally, the shields came online. The radiation levels dropped. The alarm stopped. The station was safe. Kyung-ho collapsed on the floor. He was exhausted. His body was hurt from the radiation and electricity. But he was smiling. We did it, he said to the animals. We're all safe. The Reaper stared at the human lying on the floor. Any other creature would have saved itself. But this human had risked his life for creatures that most beings would consider worthless. The Reaper felt something it had never felt before. Respect. The next morning, a new ship arrived at the station. The Reaper watched from the shadows as a young human woman stepped out. She had short black hair and wore a green jumpsuit. She carried medical supplies and food. Sunya, Kyung-ho called out, running to meet her. You came? Sunya hugged him tightly. Of course I came. Was worried. About you. The council said you were here alone. Fine, Kyung-jo said. But I have some friends I want you to meet. He led her to the medical area where the animals were kept. Sunya's eyes went wide when she saw all the creatures. Kyung-ho, what is all this? They were hurt in the solar storms. He said I couldn't let them die. Sunya looked at her friend. She saw the burns on his hands. She saw how tired he looked. She understood what he had done. You saved them all, she said softly. I tried to, Kyung-ho said. Some I couldn't help, but most of them are getting better. Sunya smiled. This is why the council is afraid of you. You make them look bad. Reaper listened to their conversation. It was learning that this human was special even among his own kind. Other humans respected him. They came to help him. Sunya had brought news from the galaxy. There are rumors, she said. Someone has put a bounty on your head. A lot of money. Every killer and pirate in the galaxy will be coming for you. Kyung-ho nodded. I expected this. The council wants me gone. We should leave, Sunya said. Find somewhere safe. I can't, Kyung-ho said, looking at the animals. They still need care. Another few days, and they'll be strong enough to release. Sunya sighed. You're going to get yourself killed helping. Others, maybe, Kyung-ho said, but I can't live with myself if I don't try. That night, another ship arrived. The Reaper sensors detected armed beings moving through the station. Bounty hunters. They had come to collect the money for killing Kyung-ho. The Reaper watched from the air vents as 3 alien hunters entered the lab. They had guns and energy weapons. They were professionals. They would kill the human and his friend quickly. He is, one hunter said, pointing at Kyung-ho. It's the human that's worth 1,000,000 credits. Kyung-ho stood up slowly. He was not afraid. Sunya stood beside him. She was afraid, but she would not run. You don't have to do this, Kyung-ho said. To the hunters, I'm not your enemy. Nothing personal, the lead hunter said, raising his weapon. It's just business. The Reaper watched from above. He could let this happen. The hunters would kill the human. The Reaper's job would be done. It could collect its money and go home. But as the hunter's finger moved to the trigger, the Reaper made a choice that surprised even itself. It dropped from the ceiling like a shadow of death. The first hunter died before he could scream. The Reaper's claws went through his chest like paper. The second hunter fired his weapon, but the Reaper was already moving. It grabbed the hunter's head and twisted. A crack echoed through the lab. The third hunter ran for the door. He did not make it. The Reaper stood in the lab, covered in the blood of the dead hunters. It looked at the two humans. They were staring at it with wide eyes. You, ... You saved us, Kunho said. The Reaper nodded slowly. It had made its choice. It would no longer hunt this human. It would protect him. The greatest predator in the galaxy. Had found something worth more than money? It had found a purpose, and had learned that sometimes the best way to be strong was to protect the weak. The hunt was over. The protection had begun. The lab was quiet after the fight. 3 dead bounty hunters lay on the floor. The Reaper stood over them, its claws still dripping with blood. Its red eyes glowed in the dim light. Kung-ho and Sunya stared at the massive creature. They had never seen anything like it. The Reaper was taller than any human. Its black armor looked like it was made from the bones of dead stars. Its 4 arms ended in claws that could cut through steel. "You're hurt, Kunho," said suddenly. The Reaper looked down at itself. It was a burn mark on its left arm where one of the hunters had shot it. Green blood oozed from the wound. "It's not bad," Sunya whispered to Kunho. "Don't get close to it," but Kyung-ho was already walking toward the Reaper. He moved slowly, with his hands empty and open. "Let me help you," he said. The Reaper stepped back. No one had ever offered to help it before. It was the thing that others feared. It was the monster in the dark. "I'm not afraid," Kung-ho said, just like he had said at the window days ago. "I have medical supplies. I can clean that wound." The Reaper looked at the human. Kung-ho was small and weak. Reaper could kill him with one swipe of its claws. But the human was not running. He was trying to help. Slowly the Reaper sat down on the floor. It was still much taller than Kyung-ho, but now the human could reach its wounded arm. Kyung-ho got his medical kit. He cleaned the burn with gentle hands. The Reaper felt the sting of the medicine, but it did not move. It watched the human work. "What's your name?" Kung-ho asked, as he wrapped the wound. The Reaper made a sound like rocks grinding together. It was trying to speak. It had not used words in a long time. Called, it said. Its voice was deep and scary, like thunder in a cave. "That's not a name," Kung-ho said. "That's what you do." "What are you called by your family?" The Reaper was quiet for a long moment. "I have no family. I have no name. Only ... titles." Finished wrapping the wound? "Everyone should have a name. What would you like to be called?" The Reaper had never thought about this. It had been called Killer and Monster and Death. Never anything good. "I do not know," it said. "How about Protector?" Kung-ho suggested. "That's what you did today? You protected us." The word felt strange in the Reaper's mind. Protector. It had never protected anything before, only destroyed. "Protector," it said slowly. The word tasted different than Reaper. Tasted ... better. Sunya was watching this conversation with amazement. "Kyung-ho," she whispered. "You know what that thing is? It's one of the most dangerous killers in the galaxy."
Ow.
"Not anymore," Kyung-ho said. "That's our friend." The Reaper felt something warm in its chest. Friend. Another new word. That night, they worked together to clean up the lab. The Reaper carried the dead hunters to the airlocks and sent them into space. Sunya and Kyung-ho fixed the damaged equipment. "More will come," Sunya said. "The bounty on your head is too high. Every killer in the galaxy will want that money."
Oh.
"Then we need to be ready," Kung-ho said. The Reaper nodded. "I will protect you, but there will be many. Too many for one." "We'll figure it out," Kyung-ho said. "We're a team now." The Reaper looked at the two humans. In its old life, it had always worked alone. It had trusted no one. But now it felt something different. It felt like it belonged somewhere. The next morning, a new ship arrived. But this time, It was not a bounty hunter. It was a small transport ship carrying a young man with worried eyes. Min. Sunya called out as the young man entered the station. Tae-min was a research assistant from Earth. He was only 22 years old. This was his first mission in deep space. He carried a bag of supplies and a message pad. I came as fast as I could, Tae-min said, breathing hard. The news is not good. The council has made the bounty official. 2 million credits, dead or alive. The Reaper's eyes glowed brighter. That is, ... a lot of money. It gets worse, Tae-min said. They've hired the Black Fleet. Military killers. I'll be here in 2 days. Sunya sat down heavily. The Black Fleet was not like normal bounty hunters. They were trained soldiers. With advanced weapons and armor, they would not come in small groups. They would come like an army. We need to leave, she said. Right now, Kyung-ho said, looking at the animals in their cages. They're not ready. 2 more days and they'll be strong enough to survive. On their own, you'll be dead in 2 days, Sunya said. Maybe, Kyung-ho said, but I won't abandon them. The Reaper stood up. Its full height was terrifying in the small room. Then we fight. Tae-min looked at the massive creature with fear. What is that thing? That's our friend Kyung-ho said. It's going to help us. The Reaper nodded. I know the Black Fleet. I have fought them before. They are good. But they are not prepared. For what we will do? What do you mean? Sunya asked. They expect to fight scared prey, the Reaper said. Instead, they will fight a protector. Protectors fight differently than killers. Kyung-ho smiled. What's the plan? 2 days, they prepared. The Reaper taught them about military tactics, showed them how to move without making noise. It taught them how to use the station's systems as weapons. The Black Fleet will try to board the station, the Reaper explained. They will come from 3 directions. You must be ready. Sunya worked on the station's defenses. She turned the air vents into trap systems. She reprogrammed the lights to blind attackers. She made the hallways into a maze. Tae-min set up communication systems. He would watch the sensors and tell them where the enemies were. He was scared, but he was brave. Kunjo took care of the animals. He moved them to the safest part of the station. He made sure they had food and water. Some of the stronger animals seemed to understand what was happening. They stayed close to him like they wanted to help. The Reaper prepared its weapons, but it also did something new. It learned to work as part of a team. It learned to protect instead of just kill. Why do you fight for us? Tae-min asked the Reaper. On the second night, the Reaper looked at the young human. So I have learned something. Killing is easy. Protecting is hard. But protecting makes you strong in a different way. What way? Tae-min asked. It makes you strong inside, the Reaper said. It makes you worth something. On the morning of the 3rd day, the sensors detected multiple ships approaching. The Black Fleet had arrived. 12 ships, Tae-min reported. At least 60 soldiers. Sunya checked her weapons. We're outnumbered. Numbers do not matter, the Reaper said. We fight for something they do not understand. We fight for each other. Kyung-ho looked at his friends. A brilliant scientist. A brave young man. A reformed killer. Dozens of small animals that depended on them. This is our home, he said. And no one takes our home from us. The Reaper smiled, showing its sharp teeth. But for the first time, the smile was not scary. It was proud. Let them come, it said. They will learn what happens when they threaten our family. The battle was about to begin. But this time, the Reaper would not fight alone. It would fight with friends. It would fight to protect. And it would show the galaxy that sometimes the strongest bonds are forged in the darkest places. The Black Fleet ships surrounded Research Station Omega-7 like hungry wolves. 12 dark vessels with powerful guns aimed at the small station. On the command ship, General Hae-won studied the target through her view screen. Hae-won was human, but she worked for the Galactic Council. She believed humans were becoming too dangerous. Too many aliens were starting to like and trust humans. This had to stop. All units, prepare to board, she said into her radio. Remember, we want the target alive if possible. The Council wants to make an example of him. Inside the station, Taman watched the enemy ships on his sensors. "They're getting ready to attack," he said. His voice shook, but his hands were steady on the controls. Protector crouched in the main hallway. It had chosen this name for itself now. It was no longer the Reaper. It was something new, something better. "Let them come," Protector said.
This
"Station is our home now. We protect our home." Sun-Ya was in the engineering room, ready to control the station's systems. Kyun-ho was in the medical bay with the animals. It would not leave them even now. "First wave incoming," Taman reported. The attack began with explosions. The Black Fleet soldiers blasted holes in the station's walls and poured inside. They were professionals in black armor with advanced weapons. They moved like a machine, covering each other as they advanced. But they did not expect what happened next. Sun-Ya activated her traps. Suddenly, the air vents opened and hot steam poured out. The lights flashed bright white, blinding the soldiers. The floor panels opened and some soldiers fell into maintenance tunnels. "What's happening?" one soldier yelled. "The station is fighting back," another replied. Protector moved through the chaos like a shadow of death. But now it fought with purpose. It did not kill for pleasure or money. It killed to protect its family. The first group of soldiers never saw Protector coming. The creature dropped from the ceiling and landed among them. Its claws moved like lightning. Seconds, 5 soldiers were down. "Contact, contact." A soldier screamed into his radio. "We have a hostile alien, requesting backup." More soldiers poured into the station. They had better weapons and more training than the bounty hunters. But they did not understand what they were fighting. Taman guided Protector through the station using the radio. "Turn left at the next corner," he said. The 3 soldiers waiting around the bend. Protector trusted the young human's voice. Turned left and found the soldiers exactly where Taman said they would be. The fight was quick and brutal. Sun-Ya continued to use the station against the invaders. She turned off the gravity in some sections, making soldiers float helplessly. She sealed doors, trapping small groups. She made the station into a weapon, but there were too many soldiers. Slowly, they were pushing toward the medical bay where Kyung-ho waited. General Hae-won was getting angry. Half her soldiers were dead, or missing. A simple capture mission had turned into a war. "What's the status?" she demanded. "We're taking heavy losses," her lieutenant reported. "There's something in there, something that knows how to fight." "It's just one alien," Hae-won said. "Send everyone, and this now." The remaining soldiers regrouped and pushed toward the medical bay. They moved carefully, watching for traps. They had learned to respect their enemy. Protector was waiting for them in the hallway outside the medical bay. It was wounded now. Green. Blood flowed from cuts on its arms and legs. But it would not move from this spot. Behind this door was Kyung-ho. Behind this door was everything that mattered. 20 soldiers faced one creature. They should have won easily, but Protector was not fighting alone anymore. The door to the medical bay opened. Kyung-ho stepped out, carrying a medical laser in his hands. It was not much of a weapon, but it was something. "I'm not hiding anymore," he said to Protector. Sun-Ya appeared from a side passage. She had a plasma cutter from the engineering room. "Neither am I." Taman came down the hall behind them. He carried a computer tablet and a shock rod. "We fight." Together, the soldiers laughed. 4 against 20? "You're going to die," maybe Kyun-ho said. "But we'll die protecting each other. Can you say the same?" The laughter stopped. The soldiers looked at each other. They were here for money. These 4 were here for love. The final battle began. Protector fought like never before. It moved to protect the humans, taking hits meant for them. Kyung-ho used his medical laser to blind soldiers. Sun-Ya cut through their armor with her plasma cutter. Taman shocked anyone who got too close. They worked as a team. When one was in danger, the others helped, and Protector was surrounded. Kyung-ho distracted the soldiers. When Sun-Ya was cornered, Protector threw itself between her and the enemy. But the most amazing thing happened. Next, the animals in the medical bay began to help. The larger creatures pushed against the door, adding their strength. The flying animals swarmed out and attacked the soldiers' faces. Efta. Even the smallest creatures bit at ankles and pulled at equipment. The animals are fighting too. Taman yelled, "Dathum-ho." Smiled even as he fought. They remember who saved them. The tide of battle turned. The soldiers were trained to fight other soldiers, not a family that included an alien protector and angry animals. They began to retreat, but General Hae-won was not finished. The general landed her personal ship on the station. She wore the best armor and carried the most powerful weapons. She was determined to complete her mission. "Enough," she screamed as she entered the medical bay. "I'll kill you all myself." Hae-won raised her weapon toward Kyung-ho, but Protector was faster. It grabbed the general and lifted her off the ground. "You will not hurt my family," Protector said. Hae-won looked into the creature's red eyes. She saw something there she did not expect. She saw love. She saw protection. She saw a bond stronger than fear. "How?" she whispered. "How did you turn the galaxy's greatest killer into your friend?" "I didn't turn it into anything," Kyung-ho said. "I just showed it what it could choose to be." Hae-won looked around the medical bay. She saw the injured animals that Kyung-ho had saved. She saw Taman and Sunya, hurt but standing together. She saw Protector wounded but unbroken. "You're making us all look bad," she said quietly. Kyung-ho said, "We're showing you what you could be." Hae-won lowered her weapon. For the first time, she understood why the council was afraid. It was not because humans were strong. It was because they made others want to be better. 1 month later, Protector stood before the Galactic Council. But now it was not alone. Kyung-ho stood beside it. So did Sunya and Taemin. So did General Hae-won, who had quit the military to become a teacher. "The contract is complete," Protector said to the council. "But not the way you wanted." The council leader looked nervous. "You were supposed to kill the human." "I was," Protector agreed. "But I learned something better. I learned to protect instead of destroy. I learned to love instead of hate." Kyung-ho stepped forward. "The galaxy doesn't need more killers. It needs more protectors. It needs beings who care about each other." The council was quiet around the chamber. Other ambassadors were nodding. They had heard the story. They had seen the recordings. They had watched a monster become a hero. "What do you want?" the council leader asked. "Peace," Kyung-ho said simply. "A chance for all species to learn from each other. A chance to build something better together." Protector nodded. "I will help make this happen. I'll protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is what I choose to be." The vote was unanimous. The bounty was canceled. Contract was ended, but something better had begun. Back at Research Station Omega-7, Protector helped Kyung-ho release the last of the healed animals. The small purple creature that had been the first to trust Kyung-ho rubbed against Protector's leg before. "Flying away? They're all free now," Kyung-ho said, as Protector agreed. "And so are we." Sunya and Taemin watched from the lab window. Other ships were arriving now. Scientists from many worlds who wanted to work with the human who had changed everything. The station would become a place of learning and healing. "What will you do now?" Kyung-ho asked Protector. "I will stay," Protector said. "This is my home. You are my family, and families protect each other." Kyung-ho smiled. "Always." The galaxy's greatest killer had learned the most human lesson of all, that strength comes not from the ability to destroy, but from the choice to protect. And in protecting others, we find the best parts of ourselves. The hunt was over. Healing had begun.